I'm Joe Day, and I'm on a tour of two projects on Kauai that ultimately will have an impact on the lives of everyone who lives on this island. Our first stop is Kauai, at the top of the island, where logging operations are removing 15,000 tons of pine and eucalyptus trees burned by the wildland fires in the summer of 2012. What I'm seeing are huge piles of downed trees and brush. What was your name again?
Pat Porter. In the summer of 2012, we had three fires, and total acreage from the three fires was just under 4,000 acres, which is was probably the biggest in recorded history on Kauai. And so this project, this logging project that we're at now, is gonna be clearing about 300 acres.
What's going to happen to this wood?
So we're working on a contract with the Green Energy Power Plant where they're going to accept our wood, and they're going to burn it for biomass at their power plant.
Will it be chipped up?
So they'll chip it. We'll be hauling it down as whole logs, and then they'll be chipping it at their facility. We're going to have to maintain it, but if we maintain it properly, it'll be prime hunting area. Yep. Yeah. So in this area, we have the game animals are deer, pigs, and then on the lower ends of the ridges, there's goats down there.
Pat, were you here when the fires were going on?
Yeah. So we were the lead firefighting agency in the area. So the Division of Forestry and Wildlife, we have our own firefighting crews.
Can you describe what it was like?
Yeah, it started right there where we parked, and you can see we got 70, 80 foot tall eucalyptus here, and it was pretty intense.
I'm Lisa Hadway. I'm the administrator for Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Forestry and Wildlife, and we essentially manage 1 million acres in the state of Hawaii in forest reserves, natural area reserves, game management areas, and plant sanctuaries. And one of the significant roles that we do is wildland firefighting. So we have basically every single Division of Forestry and Wildlife employee is trained in wildland firefighting. So when we have these fire events, of which we're seeing a dramatic increase in the number of fires, over 100 acres, with climate change, we expect that to even increase more. Additionally, when you look at the percentage of acreage burned in comparison with the Western states, we're actually on par with the Western states. So this fire was one of those situations where it was a very eye-opening experience, eye-opening for us in terms of the potential of what we could see happening as, we're seeing a significant decline in rainfall, warming temperatures. We're just going to expect to see this more and more. And when you have trees like this burn, the understory was completely exposed, bare dirt, and we expected that to just run off down to the coral reefs and impact water quality there as well. When you look down below us here, you can see the stands of essentially dead trees and the understory filling in. That's a tinderbox and a fire hazard waiting to happen there. And so we really needed to, with the emergency proclamation and now with the logging going on, this was a way to actually improve the area, and we're hopefully eventually going to see some native trees back in some of these areas where there's been plantation eucalyptus for some time. But this is the largest operation we've had, and given that the biomass plant is here on this island, I think this is a great way to help us improve this forest for recreation, for watershed, and for restoration of this area.
You said that that the fire was on par with those in the Western states. What do you mean by that?
In general, in Hawaii, we're seeing the percentage of land area burned. So we're talking about the entire state. We just had 2 really dramatic fires on Oahu, for example. We're seeing that our fire the percentage of land area burned is actually very similar to what they're seeing in the western states. So fire is a really significant part of what Division of Forestry and Wildlife does. We cooperate with all of the agencies. The counties play a really big role, but we're the wildland firefighting crews. We fight fire on state land. One of the things that we face is, we have a lot of fire equipment from the 1970s that our crews are using. And a lot of that equipment we don't even have replacement parts for. The fire picture for my staff, I really want to be sure that we're well prepared for the future moving forward, that we have the staff and the equipment we need to be effective at fighting fires in this type of environment.
Down the hill, we see how the downed trees got there on the ground. A huge yellow machine with pincer-like apparatus in front, toppling the trees, large and small. It seems almost to grab the trees and then take them to the ground.
I'm Craig Woodward.
What's your role here?
I'm the owner of the company and the general manager of this project.
What are we seeing here?
We're looking at what we call a hot saw. It's a feller buncher. It's built by Komatsu.
How big an area will this machine cover today?
Up till now, he's been covering about 15 acres a day, which is really good production.
Do you mind if I ask you your name?
Sienna Andrade.
Sienna, you're working here. Tell me your job.
I'm the new protection forester, so Patrick is my boss, and I've only been on the job for a little over a month. So he's been teaching me a whole lot of things this past month.
You're from Kauai.
Yes, I am from Kauai.
What does it mean to you personally to be working on something like this on your home island?
It's exciting. I didn't expect any kind of logging operation at this size.
Because you studied this in school.
Yes, I have, at UH Manoa.
And basically, when you see something like this that basically improving your island, how do you feel about that?
I mean, it feels great. Just knowing that there was eucalyptus and pine in such a huge magnitude here, I had no idea. But knowing that Pat and Galen is looking into regrowing koa, which everybody knows, and some other native trees, it's exciting.
Then we watched John Anko, who's been doing this for 35 years, with a big chainsaw down a huge tree with a diameter of some 4 feet. Our next stop, and the destination for much of the wood we saw harvested, is the brand new green energy plant off the highway in another forest between Lihue and Kalaheo. We approached 2 huge rectangular buildings and a number of portable buildings. At one end of one building, wood chips are lifted up automatically to end up ultimately in boilers that create steam to turn turbines to make electricity. What is your name, please?
Randy Singer.
And Randy, what is your role here?
I am the plant manager for the actual biomass operations here.
Can you give us sort of an overview of just how this works?
Well, the biomass plant is basically a large stove, just like a wood stove at home. We take wood chips, we burn them, high efficiency, high temperature. We use that hot gas from that fire to make steam by circulating water through pipes, and the steam drives a steam turbine generator to create electricity.
Much of your wood right now is coming from the state project up on the top of the island, but what happens when that runs out?
Well, we have our own supplies secured. As you look around you here on the site, we have contracts with HMI, Hawaii Mahogany Incorporated. We have contracts with other private landowners, and we have secured a steady supply for the next 3 to 4 years on island, most of Albizia or that was pre-planted eucalyptus, until our plantations get up to speed, which will be about 4 years.
And where will those plantations be? Just all over the island, or?
No, they're all up in the Kalipa area. We have 3 separate 1,000-acre sites, and that is hedging our bet. We really, minimum we could use is less than 2,000 acres, but in case of a hurricane, bad growing seasons, what have you, we hedged our bet. We've got 3,000 acres, short rotation crop eucalyptus, and as I said, in 4 years, we should have harvestable trees.
What is your relationship with KIUC?
Our relationship, we're just a supplier. KIUC is our customer. We're an independent power provider. The contract is a 20-year power purchase agreement. We have a steady rate, a given rate for our electricity, and we will provide that base load for KIUC for 20 years with an option to extend another 10 after that.
I've read that this is the only one of its kind in the country.
It is. It's a first of its kind, and there's very few around the world, actually, where we own the entire process. We own from seed to ash. It is all owned by the company, completely contained on the island. We don't go off island for any sources. We don't have to constantly search and negotiate and look for fuel in other places. This is closed loop. We own the supply. We grow the supply. The trees are grown expressly for this purpose and this purpose only. It's a crop.
Why Kauai?
Why Kauai? Well, Kauai, you can't beat the climate for growing, obviously. If you look around you here, these trees around us here are only about 6 years old. So the trees grow extremely fast here. The other thing, the dependency of Kauai currently on oil makes the economics right for this project. So, and of course the community support and the government support of wanting to be 50% renewables by 2030.
What percentage of the electricity on this island will be supplied by this plant?
We will supply approximately 11 to 12% of the island's need, and that will be base load. We will run this plant 24/7, 350 days a year, just about. We have a 1-2 week shutdown every year for heavy maintenance. We may do short 1 or 2 day shutdowns for inspections, but this is a base load plant. It provides the cushion for the island for changing loads like the solar, and we will run all the time.
When you say you own it, you don't own the land. You own
We lease the land. But we own the process. This land here we own. We own 63 acres here. 64 acres. I'm sorry. That will last this plant for the life of the plant, and it's the first of its kind in the United States, where we actually, can guarantee our own supply.
How much did it cost to build this?
The original cost was about $90 million. There probably has been some overruns, but $90 million project.
How many jobs will this create, permanent jobs here?
Permanent jobs, we have 15 here at the site, and Jill's right now has 14 at his site, but he will be gearing up once we really get to harvesting our own land, and there'll be more, and he's planning on
probably 24, so we have 14 employees now, 3 independent guys, which is myself and 2 of my brothers. And then we outsourced 4 jobs to the trucking companies. So we didn't want to buy our own trucks because there's obviously a lot of truckers here on island. And then we have 3 part-time jobs for planters. So all in all, it's about 39 jobs.
When will electricity be generated here be actually flowing into the system?
Right now, our target is to go first online in April, and then there'll be testing and a lot of certifications and a lot of inspections to make sure everything is right and all the safety systems are right and all the relay systems are right. It's a very complex process to make sure, and obviously KIC wants to be involved in that and wants to see before we tie to their grid that we're rock solid. So it will, we will start providing test energy. The minute we produce the first watt that goes over the fence, it's taken by KIUC and goes into the system.
The actual burning of the chips and the boilers and turbines are located in the second huge metal building. What is your name?
Gilles Leby.
And you are the manager of the wood, to put it in.
I manage the supply of biomass to the plant.
And so you feel that there's enough wood here for how long, you think?
I believe we have secured our supply for the 20 years.
How much fossil fuel use will this displace?
it will displace 3.6 million gallons of fossil fuels a year. So that's quite a substantive amount of fuel. And so there's different good things about, I think, doing this project on Kauai. First, there's that environmental aspect, the fact that we produce clean renewable energy. It is carbon neutral because the carbon that is released when we burn is stocked in the trees while growing. 1 ton of carbon released while burning is 1 ton fixed in the plantation. So that's why we call it carbon neutral. Actually, in reality, it's not 100% carbon neutral. It has a small footprint, being the diesel that we burn for the equipment to harvest and haul the wood chips to the plant. So that's probably about 90,000 gallons a year that we'll have to use just to do the hauling and so it's not a perfectly carbon neutral thing, but it is renewable. It's endless. You can always reuse it, always continue on. There's other things that are also very important. There's a big economical aspect. Instead of paying $3.6 million to foreign countries for diesel, or even to the mainland, with our Shell oil, so we have our own supply of fossil fuels too. But we keep all that money here on island, and we're fostering the local economy. There's subcontractors working, truckers, maintenance. There's all the local economy that revives, and I think that's very important. Is agriculture jobs, and I think that's a third. Let's say the community impact is important. The fact that we create Kauai-style jobs, plantation-style jobs. It's the guys that work down there in the fields. That's the guys that did the same, or their dads did the same in the sugarcane. And it's back to where we came from. And we reuse agricultural land in, I think, a very responsible way. We don't use any restricted use pesticides. We don't use, if that's important or not, genetically modified crops. It's a very natural, very low key use of agricultural land, but it creates a lot of jobs. And I think all in all those three things makes it a good thing for Kauai.
This huge operation and the timber harvesting we saw earlier are major projects and are out of sight of most of the people on this island. But according to those involved, they ultimately will benefit those people and can be models for other places as well. For KKCR, this is Joe Day reporting.